Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. And kindly type hi if you can hear me so I would know if my audio is working or not. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Sorry about the power interruption. So, for today, we're going to just have a quick review of the principles of high quality classroom assessment. I understand that we were able to discuss this um, in Assessment and Learning 1, but let's just have a review as some of the concepts under the principles of high quality classroom assessment will be used in our discussion for under authentic assessment, which is what assessment in learning 2 is all about. So first, let's talk about clarity of learning targets. I know you have a copy of this. That's why I did not prepare a slide anymore because I know that you have a copy of our module. So one of the number one principle of high quality classroom assessment would be clarity of learning outcomes or learning targets. High quality classroom assessment begins with the setting of clear and appropriate learning targets. Learning targets are skills or outcomes that learners must acquire or master as a result of instruction. When we talk about learning targets, we know them as learning objectives. Okay, in assessment, we always have to set our assessment objectives also, which are our learning targets. They are lifted from our learning targets. So just to refresh you, whenever we start any instructional activity inside the classroom, we always have to start with our learning targets or objectives. Okay, you don't teach in your class without you knowing your learning targets. So there always have to be a learning target because that is the purpose of all the activities, instructional activities that you are going to do inside the classroom. Okay, so you always have to base all your activities like motivation, the strategies, the techniques that you're going to use, the assessment methods that you're going to use. All of these are dependent to the learning targets that you set as a teacher for your class. Okay, so we always have to start. Now, when you are designing your assessment or your test, you have to go back to your learning targets. They will form your assessment objectives. Okay, so we have the categories of learning targets. Okay, one would be knowledge learning target. Okay, it's the ability of the learner to master substantive subject matter. So this would involve the acquisition of facts, concepts, theories. So in other words, learning targets that fall under this category, when reflected as test items, should require students to recall or retrieve from their memory. And I'm going to give you an item, test item example that would fall under knowledge would be who is the 11th president of the Philippines? So if that is the question, then you're just going to recall who is the 11th president of the Philippines. Okay, so if you were able to memorize or master or to know by heart or by memory the 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 presidents of the Philippines, then you will be able to answer that question. Okay, so that item would fall under knowledge, purely recalling or retrieving from your memory. Okay, facts and ideas, names of people, places, theories, and so on. Okay. Now we have the second category. We have the reasoning learning target. It's the ability to use knowledge and solve problems. This involves explaining, justifying, or finding solutions to a problem, to name a few. So, under this category, learners use their knowledge about a certain concept, idea, or theory to defend or justify or solve a given problem. So, here, as compared to knowledge, this is not merely retrieving facts or ideas, but the usage of these facts to demonstrate deeper understanding of those facts. Okay, so any item that would require the students to explain, to justify, or to find solution to a problem, then that would fall under reasoning. So most questions in your professional education subjects would fall under reasoning. So, for example, in one of our tests, say the teacher will present a situation. For example, a teacher wishes to find out what um, lesson does most of the students find it difficult in the test in the class, for example. Okay, so what test should the teacher administer? So that question would fall under reasoning. Okay, or if there is a situation, let's say a student is always tardy in the class and find it difficult to concentrate in the lesson. As a teacher, what should you do? Okay, A, call the attention of the student in front of the whole class. B, call the parents and talk about the situation. C, investigate and blah, blah, blah. And D, and so on and so forth. So this kind of question would fall under reasoning. And most problem solving in mathematics or in science, physics, or whatever, they would fall under reasoning. Okay, and also questions about um, essay questions. Okay, so these are usually under the reasoning learning target. Then we have skill learning targets. It's the ability to demonstrate achievement related skills like performance based task, uh, laboratory experiments, cooking, demonstration, dancing, and other performance based tasks. Okay, so as long as this involves your skills to your ability to demonstrate achievement related skills, then this would fall under skill learning target. Most of the time for PE students, most of the assessment would fall under skill learning targets. Most of the questions, I mean, in and also with BT led, BT VTED. Okay, and for the BSE, when you're asked to do a demonstration teaching, then that would be that the assessment target would be under skill learning skill. Okay, and then we have product learning target. It's the ability to create achievement related products such as written reports, designing a lesson plan, creating model representations of the real objects, oral defense, drawings, painting works, and so on. So you are going to create a product. So that would be a product learning target. So for example, in your assessment objective that the students will design a lesson plan, then that is a product learning target. Okay. So the assessment that you're going to do should be uh, something that will let them design a lesson plan. Okay. Then we have the fifth active or effective, I'm sorry, effective learning target. It's the attainment of effective traits such as attitudes, values, interests, and self efficacy. So these learning targets are often assessed using a different assessment tool as they cannot be measured like the first four categories, hence making this learning target more complicated to assess but is of equal importance with tests. So usually your teachers would give you questionnaires like psychological tests, attitude tests, learning styles questionnaire, and all types of surveys. Okay, that has something to do with values, interests, self-efficacy, and attitudes. Okay, those are effective learning targets. Okay, this is oftentimes uh, given very small attention in class, okay, because students are being rated based from the first four learning targets, but less on the effective learning targets. Okay, but in education, we are being taught that the education of the heart matters most. And when we talk about education of the heart, we're talking about the affective aspect of learning. Okay, so it's very, very important also to focus on the affective side of learning. Okay, sometimes even if you're very good in teaching, you don't leave a mark to your students because you do not focus much on their values, interests, instilling values, attitudes, and looking into their interest and developing their self efficacy. Okay, and that's really, really important. I think I've been telling this to my class. That's probably the reason why most of the time the teacher that we can remember and we go back to are our teachers in high school. Okay, because most teachers in high school, they teach us a lot of things about the effective side of learning. They teach us to become good students, good children. They are very compassionate. So and those things leave a mark to us, to the students. Okay, so when you become one, you have to make sure that uh, you recognize the importance of the affective aspect of learning. Okay, so that's one. We have the second um, principle of high quality assessment. It's the appropriateness of assessment tools. Okay, no matter how well written your assessment or your test questions are, if the assessment method that you use is not appropriate, then the results of the assessment will not be a good basis for evaluation on the part of the teacher. And it's not also a good basis in measuring the performance of the students. So when we talk about appropriateness of assessment tool, we talk about alignment in assessment. So it means measuring only those that you wish the students to acquire as a result of instruction. So we have an example here. A teacher wants her student to design a lesson at the end of a module. After teaching them the different components of a lesson plan and showing them samples, the teacher should assess the students if they can already design a lesson plan on their own. Okay, so this assessment method is in agreement with the learning outcomes set by the teacher. So see, there should be an alignment with the assessment, with the learning objectives and the assessment outcome. Okay? Na gusto mong mangyari. So, kung sa lesson mo ay tinuro mo kung paano magluto, then dapat 'pag in-assess mo sila, dapat magde-demonstrate sila kung paano magluto. Hindi puwedeng tinuro mo, nag-demo ka kung paano magluto, and then in-assess mo sila, ang assessment na ginawa mo ay paper and pencil test. Okay? Hindi aligned, ano? Kasi paano mo ngayon mame-measure if they know how to cook using, a paper and pencil test, 'di ba? So, walang alignment, okay? So, the most appropriate way to assess these students is to let them cook because you taught them how to cook and you demonstrated on how to cook, okay? So, that's what we call alignment, okay? So, we have here different assessment methods and examples. Okay, one is the objective test, which is free from bias either from the tester or the marker. It refers to any written test that requires the examiner to select the correct answer from among one or more of several alternatives or supply a word or two, and that demands an objective judgment when it is scored. So examples of these tests are short answer tests or completion tests. When you say completion test, is fill in the blanks. That's the more common name. Okay. Short answer test is identification. Parang yun ang tawag mostly, Then we also have multiple choice test, matching tests, true or false test, or binomial test, and so on. Okay, those are objective tests. So good thing about objective tests is that they are free from bias because whatever that is student wrote would be the one that will be rated. So it's free from subjectivity. That's why it's called objective test. Otherwise, it would be called subjective test. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so it's objective tests. Okay. Then we have essay test, a test that requires learners to compose responses. It requires learners to exhibit the significance and the meaning of what you know. In other words, you are tested by how vast is your knowledge and understanding of the subject. Essay test responses can either be restricted or extended response. Okay, we talked about this already. Restricted and extended response type of essay. So since this is just a review, let's just talk about what essay test is and what it can do. Okay. So if in your learning objective, you wanted the students or you wanted the students to explain probably, or to make judgment, okay, then essay would be the type of test that you would like to go, okay, because essay measures higher order thinking skills, okay, because a student cannot answer an essay question if he or she do not understand the concept that is required to answer the essay tests. Okay? So it requires a deeper, a wider understanding of a certain concept. Okay? That's why you find yourself sometimes when you are answering an essay test question, you find it difficult because you do not have a deeper understanding of the concept that is involved, which you are supposed to use in answering the essay test. Then we have performance based. So it's a test that measures learners' ability to apply the skills and knowledge learned from a unit or units of study. So typically, the task challenges the learners to use their higher order thinking skills to create a product or complete a process. So examples of these would be presentations, demonstrations, technical reports, project portfolios, and anything that involves uh, performing. Okay, you perform a task as a form of assessment. Okay, that's performance based, and this is mainly actually the focus, okay, of assessment in learning two. Okay, specifically module number 2 and the succeeding modules. Then we also have oral question. It's a direct means of assessing students' learning outcomes by questioning them. Okay, oral assessment allows probing of the depth and extent of students' knowledge. And oral assessment includes oral exam, oral recitation, as they call it, conferences, and interviews. Okay, or anything that would involve oral answering. Okay. Then we have observation. This is more on the affective domain. It's an assessment method that provides opportunity to monitor or assess a process or situation and document evidence of what is seen and heard, seeing action and behaviors within a natural context or as they usually occur provides insight and understanding of the event, activity, or situation being assessed. So I mentioned that this is more on the affective domain, but this is also used hand in hand with performance based assessments. If you would like to assess how the student um, performed in a demonstration teaching, okay, one way of assessing that is through observation. Okay. Then we also have self-report, uses a survey, questionnaire, or poll in which students select a response by themselves without interference. It is an assessment method which involves asking a learner about their feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and so on. So self-report mostly on affective domain. Okay, if you want to know more about the student, about their feelings towards a certain topic, for example, or towards a certain activity in the class, then self-report is the way to go. Yeah. So those are the different assessment methods. Now we are going to align these assessment methods with the different skills. Okay. If you guys have questions, you can just ask them in the chat box, and once I see them, I'm going to answer your question. Okay, so do not be ashamed. Just go ahead and ask a question. So we have here a matrix. This is pretty much easy, pretty easy to understand. So we have here the learning targets, objectives, knowledge, reasoning, skills, products, and effect. And here, these are the different assessment methods. Okay, so let's put this at the middle so you will not be confused. There you go. So we have objective, essay, performance, oral, question, observation, self-report. So this matrix, the higher the number, the more appropriate the assessment method is. So for example, for knowledge, we have 5 under objectives. Since we are testing knowledge, then we make use of an objective assessment method. Since we mentioned earlier that when we talk about objective assessment method, this is purely recalling or retrieving from memory some ideas, concepts, and so on. So the most appropriate if you want to test knowledge is objective test. You can also have essay test, okay, or oral question. And the least appropriate would be self-report, of course. Then same is true with reasoning. The most appropriate is essay, okay. Performance-based, also okay. Oral question is also okay. And the least would be objective, observation, and self-report. Skills, most appropriate, performance-based, of course. And then observation. Then we also have products, performance-based also, because we mentioned about performance-based, like creating or designing a product. So that's product. And for affect, which is more on feelings, attitudes, interests, behavior. So the most appropriate would be yourself. Report, observation is also okay. Oral questioning, like interview, would be okay also. You interview a student to find out about his or her struggles in life, okay, and about her or his interests and so on, and also performance based. Okay, so this is pretty much easy to understand, this matrix here. So I think I don't have to explain further. So at this point, guys, do you have questions? To our 30 viewers, may tanong ba kayo? I would love to hear from you if you have questions. I think I'll have another session because it's already about 6 p.m. and I know that you guys are busy. So maybe I will stop here. All right. Validity and reliability will be tomorrow. I'm going to schedule again tomorrow. So do you guys have questions? Okay. Are you guys still there? Just let me know if you would like me to proceed with validity and reliability or you want me to discuss this tomorrow. And I'm going to schedule another one. Earlier. Yeah. Hello? Looks like you guys are huh? Yeah. Okay. So we have Maui here saying no question. Roblin, Myrene, and Franco, no question too. Well, all right. So looks like you guys have no more question. No question at all. So yeah, it's about 6 p.m. It's one of the busiest time of the day. So let's just continue this tomorrow. Reliability and validity. I'm going to explain this further because this is a very important principle of high quality classroom assessment. Okay, so since there are no more questions and all of you would like to have another session with me tomorrow, so yeah, I guess I have to end this one. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.